Hi everyone, happy Earth Day. Thank you for joining us on this very special Earth Day celebration. I started this tradition of celebrating Earth Day ever since I started teaching AP Environmental Science at Village Academy High School. And my students, because of the restrictions, the constraints we have still in place due to COVID-19, we are doing it through Zoom this year. And now, without further ado, I would like to present to you the students' well-researched presentations, and I would like to have them introduce themselves about all these topics ranging from climate change globally to climate migration. Go Knights! Happy Earth Day, everyone.
The Earth is crumbling apart, and part of it is due to deforestation.
Deforestation is caused by humans and has a variety of reasons why, such as timber, lumber, agriculture, and the list goes on.
A recent incident related to this would be the Trump administration planning to cut more than half of Alaska's Tongass National Forest to logging and other forms of development. Experts say that doing so will release more carbon into the atmosphere than the forest itself being a massive carbon sink.
17% of the Amazon was cut down just in 2020 alone for agriculture and cattle-related reasons. Brazil's environment minister wanted $1 billion in foreign aid from countries, including the United States, to help curb Amazon deforestation.
Spreading awareness on social media and using less paper products are some easy tasks that everyone can do to help the environment.
So this is really all your fault. You destroyed everything.
Yes. And each day since the Lorax left, I've sat here regretting everything I've done. Staring at that word. Unless. And wondering what it meant. But now I'm thinking, well, maybe you're the reason the Lorax left that word there.
Me? Why would he leave that for me?
Because unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. The last Tropula seed. You need to plant it, Ted.
Yeah, but nobody cares about trees anymore.
Then make them care. Plant the seed in the middle of town where everyone can see. Change the way things are. I know it may seem small and insignificant, but it's not about what it is. It's about what it can become.
Good afternoon, my name is Jasmine Vargas.
And I'm Pat.
And today we're going to be presenting about global warming.
So, what is global warming?
Global warming is the long-term heating of Earth's climate system observed since the pre-industrial period, between 1850 and the 1900s, due to human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, which increases heat-trapping greenhouse gas levels in Earth's atmosphere. Global warming stresses ecosystems through temperature rises, water shortages, increased fire threats, drought, weed and pest invasions, intense storm damage, and salt invasion. This is just to name a few.
The cause of global warming. It is caused by increased concentrations of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, mainly from human activities such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and farming. An example is power plants. 40% of U.S. carbon dioxide emissions stem from electricity production, and 93% of the electric industry emissions result from burning coal. Another example is oil drilling. Burn-off from the oil drilling industry impact the carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere. Fossil fuel retrieval, processing, and distribution accounts for roughly 80% of the carbon dioxide and 30% of the methane pollution.
This is some pictures of burning of fossil fuel, for example, pollution from coal, natural gas, and oil.
solutions to global warming, and how you can help in your day-to-day lives. Disconnect unnecessary plugs. Electronics use energy even when they are not charging. Across all U.S. households can add up to the output of 50 large power plants. So don't leave fully charged devices plugged into your home's outlets, and unplugged, rarely used devices. We can also reduce water waste. It takes a lot of energy to pump, heat, and treat your water, so take shorter showers and turn off the tap while brushing your teeth.
Some more solutions to global warming and how you can help in your day-to-day lives is tropical forest protection. To slow global warming, we must protect the world's tropical forests. Do your part by urging companies to commit to stop cutting them down, a commitment known as zero deforestation. Renewable energies. To prevent climate change is to move away from fossil fuels. Some alternatives are renewable energies such as solar, wind, biomass, and geothermal.
Simple things that you can do. Use compact fluorescent bulbs. Recycle. Take shorter showers because heating water uses a lot of energy. Turn off the light when you leave the room, and don't forget to turn off the computer or TV when you are not using it.
Our combined effort can save the Earth from global warming. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for listening, and happy Earth Day, everyone.
Hi, my name is Helen Ding.
And I'm Christian Madrano.
So what is ocean acidification? Ocean acidification is the decrease in the pH of ocean waters. Did you know that it is mainly caused by increased greenhouse gases? About 200 years ago, since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, the pH of the ocean was 8.2, but it fell by 0.1 pH units. As the ocean absorbs more CO2, chemical reactions create carbonic acid, which slowly shifts the ocean's pH to the acidic side of the pH scale. This is a problem because marine life is harmed with ocean acidification.
An example of how, as Helen said, ocean acidification can harm marine organisms is the example with the coral reefs. As the ocean becomes more acidic, there is less calcium carbonate available in the water. When this happens, calcium carbonate in marine organisms can dissolve, which this is a problem because such organisms and animals such as the coral reefs, whose skeletons are made of calcium carbonate, would be damaged and greatly affected.
Humans may unknowingly contribute to the problem of ocean acidification. Some contributions include burning fossil fuels to meet energy needs, vehicle emissions since they release greenhouse gases, and deforestation. Deforestation is the removal of trees over a wide area, and after doing so, the land or wood can then be used for other purposes. Deforestation causes trees to release their stored carbon into the atmosphere, which adds to the carbon dioxide emission.
Some solutions that we have found for ocean acidification is that you can reduce your carbon footprint. And in this case, we mean using less energy. You can do this by using energy-efficient appliances, using renewable energy, such as solar panels, to help, or you can do things as simple as conserving energy by not using your AC and heater as often.
Our message is to try to reduce your carbon footprint. It can be very simple, from conserving energy to using renewable sources. Like what Christian had mentioned, anything would help our planet. These are the resources that we used. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning, my name is Diana Argueta.
My name is Adriana.
And we will be presenting on urbanization.
Urbanization is a process through which cities grow and higher percentages of population come to live in the city. In the picture, you can see the differences. Over the years, urbanization is seen to be happening so much more all over the world. This is because there's so many benefits. For example, urbanization is shown to allow people to create better social lives and interact more with others. Bigger cities also provide more entertainment, which attracts tourists. Urbanization also provides better housing, easy access to basic services, and overall it's more convenient. Although urbanization has many benefits, it also has many irreversible consequences. The Earth's surface into urban cities is one of the most irreversible human impacts on the globe biosphere. It increases the chance in loss of high productive farmland, affects energy demand, alters the climate, modifies hydrologic and biogeochemical cycles, fragment habitats, and reduces biodiversity. Urban growth increases commercialization and industrialization, which increases the usage of fossil fuels. An increase in the use of fossil fuels would add to global warming and contribute to climate change.
A migrant worker living in one of India's metropolises had to move out of their homeland because of economic hardships. My land doesn't yield as much rice crop anymore. I can't sustain my family on just my agricultural income, said Rajesh Yavad, a 35-year-old domestic worker in New Delhi. Urbanization made it far more difficult to find a good source of income in rural areas. As more people move to urban areas, more people will contribute to global warming and climate change. The climate change caused by urbanization leads to increased heat, drought, insect outbreak, and wildfires. Declining water supplies reduce agricultural fields, health impacts in cities due to heat, and flooding and erosion in coastal areas are additional concerns. These changes are happening now, and although they are occurring at alarming rates, there are ways we could slow climate change and global warming to help save our planet. As individuals, there's many things we could do to slow the rate of climate change. Using energy more wisely, investing in renewables, switching to a more climate-friendly diet, and using public transportation rather than using your own vehicles are all ways we can help slow climate change. Urge government to take bold, ambitious climate actions now. Installation of wind turbines, tropical forest restoration, and creating solar farms are all steps the government can take to help save our environment. Remember to stand up and help save our planet, not only for us, but also for future generations. Thank you and happy Earth Day.
Hello, my name is Kareli Leon, and today I will be doing my presentation with my partner Marlene Quiñones, which is on energy over consumption.
So, the first thing that we have is, what is energy over consumption? Well, energy overconsumption is the excessive use of energy which leads to negative results in the environment. In this picture, you can see how energy overconsumption can really bring in a lot of pollution into the environment.
Okay, so how does using too much energy affect the environment? Well, there are emissions of greenhouse gases and other air pollutants, especially when a fuel is burned. Discharges of pollution into water bodies, including thermal pollution, which is water that is hotter than the original temperature of the water body.
So, how does using too much energy affect the environment? Well, for starters, there's generation of solid waste, which can include hazardous waste. As you can see here in the picture, there's hazardous waste all from the bags and the debris that get launched up into our air and into our atmosphere. There are effects on plants, animals, ecosystems that result from the air, water, waste, and land impacts above. Some of these environmental effects can also potentially affect human health if they're exposed to pollutants in the air, water, or soil, which is very common.
Energy overconsumption started by a wide variety of factors, including the strain on fossil fuels such as oil, gas, and coal due to overconsumption, which then in turn can put strains on our water and oxygen resources by causing pollution. Another problem that started this was overpopulation, its demand for fuel and products such as food. Whether the food is organic or not, the transportation has a significant drain on our energy resources.
To add along how this problem started, it started with poor infrastructure. This is where energy producing firms keep on using outdated equipment that restricts the production of energy. Unexplored renewable energy options. Renewable energy still remains in use in most countries, mostly underdeveloped countries, and still in many populated countries that just aren't using it at all. In this photo, this can be an example of poor infrastructure with a lot of wires and cables all wasting energy.
Example case of energy overconsumption is in a few countries, there is a significant delay in the commissioning of new power plants that can fill the gap between demand and supply of energy. The result is that old plants come under huge stress to meet the daily demand for power. When supply doesn't match demand, it results in load shedding and breakdown.
So what can be done by us to help this problem? There are many ways, but some of these ways are using clean energy. This includes renewable energy, energy efficiency, and efficient combined heat and power. Again, energy efficiency. This is where end users can meet some of their needs by adopting energy efficient technologies and practices. They're simple. Energy efficiency is a resource that reduces the need to generate electricity. Clean centralized generation. New and existing power plants can reduce environmental impacts by increasing generation efficiency. Installing pollution controls and leveraging cleaner energy supply resources can help immensely.
3 more examples of what can be done by us to help this problem is clean distributed generation, combined heat and power, CHP, and EPA's Energy Star program, which is a great place to start for guidance on how to save energy and protect the environment. It is independently certified to use less energy, achieving emissions reductions to reduce air pollution and help protect the climate.
So, one of the biggest ways that we can help this problem is using solar energy. There are a lot of benefits to it, such as cost savings. It's not as expensive as people think it is. It increases the value of your home. Even places with relatively lower resources like the Pacific Northwest and Alaska, they can also experience cost savings. And they have similar solar resources to countries that have widely developed solar PV, such as Germany. Solar energy works everywhere. Of course, it is environmental, so each kilowatt per hour of solar that is generated will substantially reduce greenhouse gas emissions like CO2, as well as other dangerous pollutants such as sulfur oxide, nitrogen oxide, and particulate matter.
Now, a message to take home.
Hello, my name is Krista Sanchez, and I'm going to be talking about climate migration. Causes of climate migration. The head of the Migration, Environment, and Climate Change Division at the United Nations International Organization for Migration, Dina Ionesco, states that it is highly likely that undesirable environmental changes directly created by, or amplified by climate change, will extensively change the patterns of human settlement. Future degradation of land use for agriculture and farming, the disruption of fragile ecosystems, and the depletion of precious natural resources like fresh water will directly impact people's lives and homes. According to the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, the planet's temperature will increase significantly. They say that by 2027 to expect extreme hot zones, like in the Sahara, that will cover almost a fifth of the land. If this were to happen, then 1 out of every 3 would be alive outside the climate niche. While science advances say that by 2100, temperature will increase so much that staying outside for a few hours can lead to the death of humans. History has proven the existence of climate change. Here are a few examples. The decline of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD, that was due to climate migration. The downfall of the Mayan Empire, that was due to a drought, the American Dust Bowl in the 1930s, and the Sahelian droughts in the 70s and 80s that led to the migration of many, who fled to California and urban areas like Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and Mauritania. The main cause for all of these events was the humid condition and decline in precipitation, so the land would no longer be able to support the population. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change predicts that global temperatures will most likely have an average of 1.5 Celsius at some point between 2030 and 2052. Examples. So in 2017, Puerto Rico was victim of Hurricane Maria, and it was said that it was 30% more powerful compared to the other storms it faced. In 2019, the cyclones Kenneth and Idai severely damaged Mozambique, and had been the first time 2 storms hit the country during the same season. In that same year, the Bahamas was hit by Hurricane Dorian for 24 hours. Then South Asia is facing rising temperatures, frequent cyclones, rising sea levels, and flooding due to melting glaciers. And the additional weather events have only worsened international migration patterns. While in Northwest Africa, they're facing similar issues like droughts, desertification, and rising sea levels, which have added to the number of migrants. Solutions. So some nations have already signed into landmark agreements such as the Paris Climate Change Agreement, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, and the Global Compact for Migration. Dina UNESCO says that there are 3 priorities. 1. Find solutions so that people can keep their homes and aid them in learning to adapt to the changing environment. 2. The Global Compact for Migration that aims to find ways for people to migrate safely through regular channels. And 3. Organizing for the relocation of villages and communities to areas far from places most affected by climate change. Examples of solutions in effect. So in 2017, New Zealand made humanitarian visits to climate-affected Pacific Islanders. The initial plan diverted to focus more on the islanders' priorities, investigating in emissions mitigation, and teaching the people new skills so that they could work in other countries by their own means. The Pacific island Vanuatu created a policy on climate change and disaster-induced displacement, but they would have safeguards and procedures for planned relocation. The policy would also take financing and technical skill into account. So here are some final messages that I think a lot of people should leave with. The first comes from Dina Ionesco. Says, I also think that we need to stop discourses that focus only on migrants as victims of tragedy. The bigger picture is certainly bleak at times. We need to remember that migrants demonstrate every day their resilience and capacity to survive and thrive in difficult situations. The second comes from Kaylee Ober, who says while these policies are varied, they should all aim for the same goal: to give those displaced by climate change greater agency to choose how and when to move on their own terms, and with as much protection and equitable remuneration as possible. Thank you.
Bye. And Alondra.
What is causing this? Global warming is causing the ice caps to melt, according to why are glaciers and sea ice melting by world wildlife, specifically since the Industrial Revolution. Carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gas emissions have raised temperatures even higher in the poles, and as a result, glaciers are rapidly melting, calcining off into the sea and retreating on land. It all starts with the cow, the biggest livestock contributor to global warming. Each cow burps out 220 pounds of methane per year, and although methane from cows leaves faster, it is 28 times stronger than carbon dioxide. With the growing population expected to reach 10 billion by 2050, it can be deduced that this industry won't be able to sustain itself with the excessive amounts of meat being produced each year.
As you can see, this is a picture showing a cow, one of the biggest livestock contributors as stated, and it's showing from where methane usually comes from, which is from its burps, and it contributes all 95% of its methane from there, and that's a really bad thing towards the environment. To start, there is less cattle to go around feeding such a large population, even though cattle is considered a small amount compared to the population that it is feeding. It is leaving a large footprint in the environment. Considering the high demand for meat, it is not surprising that the quality rate of it is dropping. A product in poor condition that is still able to leave disastrous effects on the environment is just idiotic. There's nothing wrong with eating meat, but why so much?
The problems. Feed sourcing. A problem on how animals are not given adequate food for them to live off or be able to feed themselves, which affects either its health or overall any product they are giving out, which also might be affected by its origin of where the food came from. Manure processing. A serious problem which is about how farmers and meat industry employees end up disposing the manure from their animals, which most likely is done incorrectly and adds to pollution. Climate change. A serious problem regarding the cooling and warming of our planet, which has drastic and dangerous effects on our planet and is seen more accurately around the warmer and poorer areas. Little notes. Commercials also tend to contribute to meat eating by associating manliness with it, and thus provoking more consumption in more conservative communities. Bigger, more advanced countries such as first world countries are affecting smaller, much poorer countries. As you can see with this commercial, they are contributing to more pollution because of the commercial. And this is a flood in Vietnam caused by the effects of global warming. There are many gases being emitted from the meat industry that directly affect climate change. Carbon dioxide, which is in fact an important factor to the environment, which is released by natural components such as respiration, volcano eruptions, or human activities such as deforestation. But since the Industrial Revolution, too much carbon dioxide has been released into the atmosphere, causing a cover that traps heat. Methane, a hydrocarbon gas produced both through natural sources and human activities, including the decomposition of waste in landfills and agriculture. On a molecule-for-molecule basis, methane is far more active greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide, but also one which is less abundant in the atmosphere.
Greenhouse gas emissions associated with cows and the whole industry have given climate change a boost in speed, and that has made more drastic changes. Here are some cases and examples. In Mekong Delta, a region in Vietnam, it's already having a huge impact on the lives of those in the Mekong Delta, the agricultural heartland of the country and home to 20% of the country's population. In 2018, more than 35,000 people were forced to flee their homes every day. Sea level rise, ice mass loss in Greenland, Antarctica, the Arctic, and mountain glaciers worldwide, shifts in flower/plant blooming in extreme weather events. You expect snow in the Northeast in January or for it to be hot and humid in the Southeast in July. The climate record also includes extreme values such as records high temperatures or records amount of rainfall. Rising maximum temperatures, rising minimum temperatures, rising sea levels, higher ocean temperatures, an increase in heavy precipitation, heavy rain and hail, shrinking glaciers, stalling permafrost.
Conclusion. Although the meat industry cannot be blamed for climate change fully, it shows a large culpability towards it when looking at the statistics. There are many factors that also contribute to the meat industry affecting us like this, especially when looking directly at the products from it. It is partially the fault of all the people and the livestock itself, but it is not the livestock's fault, for they did not choose to be grown into it. People are blind to what they want and what they are getting in return. Furthermore, the actions that people who live in more culpable countries deny and dismiss affect less advanced and undeveloped countries. There are ways to combat this, but it has to start with us.
Solutions to help reduce this problem is eat less red meat, and this will reduce the livestock size. Popularize other alternatives. Popularize lab-grown meat. Begin a new diet consisting with more variety that is more than just once or twice a week of a balanced diet. Begin sustainable feed sourcing, have responsible manure management, and enforce laws to have employees reduce greenhouse gas emissions.